While people across North America were expected to glimpse a rare lunar eclipse, one Stamford man was up all evening. But that's his nightly routine. Charles Scoville is the curator of the Stamford Observatory and has been for nearly 49 years.
I found this place in 1962 and joined the Astronomical Society and just grew into the job as chief astronomer. So I've learned most of my astronomy right here. I usually arrive between 5 and 7. I'm here until 4 a.m. every night.
On Monday evening, Scoville came to work as he usually does, but prepared for a lunar eclipse that made history. This year, for the first time in hundreds of years, an eclipse coincided with the winter solstice. But Scoville jokes that the moon is sometimes more a burden for him than a wonder.
As far as I'm concerned, the moon is a terrible pain in the neck because it's so bright. When it's out, you can't see the fainter stars, so you can't observe your faint variable stars.
Scoville says he first started at the observatory after working in sales, but his background is in geology.
So I went into sales work. Then I had an uncle in this area in Westport who ran a marine hardware business, wholesale. So I went to work for him, and after about 3 years I realized he thought family was spelled S-L-A-V-E, so I quit. And since then I've sold about anything you could think of. Cars, sewing machines, everything but insurance, I guess.
And his path took him to astronomy, in particular, variable stars.
There are two basic varieties. Of course, there's the eclipsing, where you have two running around each other, and if we're in the right line, you get an eclipse when one goes in front of the other. The other are called intrinsic variability, built-in variability. They are usually old stars that are shrinking and swelling. And the period of shrinking and swelling can be anything from a few hours to a year or two or even 3.
Scoville explains that his relationship with some stars extends further back than some of his relationships with people.
You get used to knowing all of the comparison stars around it, so you don't need to refer to your chart anymore. I mean, after a dozen times looking at the chart, why, you know what comparison stars there are. The particular one I liked to follow was in Cygnus the Swan, and it had an orbital period of about 5 hours, something like that, but it had a period between outbursts of about 52 days when I started observing it 40 years ago or so. And it has it's speeded up a little bit for some reason. So its period between eruptions is now down to an average of about 48 days.
The observatory resembles an old lighthouse, small rooms lining the stairways that lead to the massive telescope. This evening, the telescope is focused solely on the moon. While he loves the stars, Scoville does have a favorite part of the moon. He explains that the moon's craters are named after late astronomers, and his favorite is named after a Danish astronomer from the 1500s. Because the Earth and the moon rotate, eclipses are not easy things to capture on video. But this evening, Scoville hopes to get some video to show patrons on cloudy evenings.
You have to follow on a diagonal, which means up and across. So a telescope that's mounted with its axis pointed at the North Pole just means once you've found an object, you can rotate around that object or that axis and follow an object all night, which of course our big telescope now does. It's up there now tracking the moon. Of course, an eclipse of the moon is simply the disappearance or near disappearance of the moon into the Earth's shadow. So it happens every 6 months, sometimes centrally, sometimes only partially. So the moon kind of skims along the edge of the shadow. And so with 2 eclipses like that a year, and I think it's possible to have 3 in 1 year. If one is like on December 29th, then there'd be one in June and another the next December 28th or whatever. But normally there are just 2 eclipses of the moon each year. So the difficulty there is you don't see them all from any one spot on Earth, because of course the Earth is also spinning in that time. So the eclipse may be happening here, but if you're over on the other side, you don't get it.
The historic eclipse began on Tuesday morning at 1:33. The evening and early morning stillness occasionally punctuated by visitors hoping to catch a glimpse before the clouds covered the shadows around 3 in the morning. Scoville explains that there is more to the observatory than someone may realize. There is a society that meets monthly, and anyone with an interest can join. There are also bi-monthly lectures that are open to the public.
We give a lecture on different topics, and it's not a series, a serial. In other words, you can come and just catch whatever the month's topic is, and that's it. It doesn't depend on or lead into the next month's topic. We have had topics all over the place. Galaxies, solar system, one on just Saturn, one on the Cassini mission to Saturn, which is, of course, a spacecraft that's out there still going around in orbits.
If you'd like to know more about the observatory, you can visit the website, www.stamford-observatory.com. You can also visit Scoville at the observatory on a Friday night. Their open hours are from 8 to 10 in the evening.